Welcome. This is the story of Alden and Melvina Jeudevine. Alden Jeudevine was born in Concord, Vermont on August 4th, 1811, the son of Cornelius and Lucy Weatherby Jeudevine. Fame and notoriety were in Alden's family tree on the day of his birth. A little known fact about Alden Jeudevine is that his mother, Lucy, was the daughter of Susanna Johnson Weatherby. She is the famous Mrs. Johnson, who was captured by Indians along with her family in Charlestown, New Hampshire in 1754. She was only 4 years old at the time. Later on, she wrote the story of her life under the title of The Captivity of Mrs. Johnson. That book has now been reproduced in many different forms, including fiction forms. I know that at the Hardwick Elementary School library we have the fictionalized version of it under the title of The Captivity of Mrs. Jemison. Alden's father, Cornelius, was a wonderful businessman and a very intelligent man, and Alden stayed with him until he was 28 years old for the express purpose of learning all he could from his father about business. He attended Concord Academy and took his studies very seriously. Alden had a brother, Harvey, and a sister, Luthera. Luthera became the wife of a well-known Hardwickian, Adelphus Holton, who was a partner to Alden in later years. Alden was only 21 when he was elected deputy sheriff in that county where Concord is, and he held that office until 1839 when he came to Hardwick. And he came to Hardwick with only one idea in mind, and that was to become very prosperous in business. And he certainly succeeded. He amassed considerable wealth. Certainly he would be a millionaire in today's world. And he owned thousands of acres of land that included not only property in Hardwick, but throughout northern Vermont. Alden was involved in cattle dealing, lumbering, and sawmills, and all kinds of merchandising. He held every town office that Hardwick had to offer, including town clerk. He also served in the state legislature and was elected probate judge of Caledonia County. He served 23 years as Hardwick postmaster, getting his first commission from President Tyler and his last from President Lincoln. Alden was an anti-slavery man and a staunch Republican. He was a strong advocate of temperance, and he traveled widely speaking on behalf of the Temperance Union, forcefully speaking out against the demon drink. Imagine how his spirit must have been dismayed years later when a state liquor store was installed in his very home. Who knows? They may have been selling alcoholic beverages right out of his own bedchamber. Alden Jeudevine had many strong positive qualities. He was a God-fearing man who served his fellow citizens, and he certainly loved Hardwick. One must remember that when Alden came here in 1839, Hardwick was still in its young years. The first town meeting had only been held in 1795. Alden's contemporaries were the first generation of Hardwickians who were born in Hardwick. And these people had lived the hard life. They had come to Hardwick or been born here with only one book in the house in those days, and that was the Bible. They had a very strict observance of human conduct. Alden always kept that early spirit of religion and proper conduct high in his life. For all of his good qualities, and in spite of his lesser ones, and he must have had a few, because he was very, very successful in business. He must have made enemies. This was the man that Melvina Tuttle married. This was the man that she revered. This was the man she remembered and wanted to place in the memory of Hardwickians for all time. Now, Melvina had a distinguished Hardwick history in her own right. She was the daughter of Captain David and Anna Emerson Goss Tuttle. She was the granddaughter of the Reverend Amos Tuttle, the first settled minister in Hardwick. The decision to install Elder Tuttle was decided at a special town meeting on April 18, 1796, and it is so recorded in the official town record. A Baptist council came to Hardwick and ordained Elder Tuttle as Hardwick's first minister. Amos Tuttle lived off the Center Road, not far from the place that we call the Brown Place today, where there's a little pond on the right-hand side of the road as you drive toward Greensboro. Alden and Melvina gave birth to 4 children. The firstborn was Cornelius, whom they called Neely. He was the only one to survive infancy. Alden and Melvina lavished all their love on Neely. It is very clear that Alden always dreamed of leaving all of his wealth and success to Neely. Then, on a beautiful March afternoon in 1878, Neely asked his mother if he could take a walk to the family sugar orchard on Buffalo Mountain. That had been a particularly beautiful springtime. It is recorded in history books about the weather that there had been flowers blooming in Caledonia County in March of that year. So one can envision that Melvina probably said, "We've had such a wonderful spring, you should take a walk and enjoy your day." Neely returned coughing, and his mother knew it instantly that he was ill. So she put him to bed. In a matter of hours, it became known that he was deathly ill. And a noted doctor, Dr. Thayer from Burlington, was called because they realized he was too sick to move. Dr. Thayer did all he could, but Neely died on March 28, 1878. And with Neely's death, the entire town was plunged into mourning. The Jeudevines were prostrate with grief. One can imagine the great sorrow that then fell upon Alden Jeudevine's head. We want you to realize, to put this in your own memory of perspective, the Jeudevines lived in the wonderful large house on North Main Street, which we now call the Foster House, and it was near the covered bridge. The entire town came to express their sorrow. After Neely passed, life was never the same for Alden. He slowed down in business pursuits. He served as an insurance agent in his latter years, and he died February 10th, 1888, at the age of 76. He had left money in his will, hopefully to honor Neely. The decision as to how to honor was left to Melvina, and she decided to honor her husband and her son. We tend to remember and honor all 3 of them. She decided to build a library, and she chose a spot at the corner of North Main and West Church Street, a stone's throw from the beautiful home that she and Neely and Alden had lived in. She lived to see the new library in operation over several years, and she died November 3rd, 1905, at the age of 77. Now we turn our attention to the play, The Decisions, where Mrs. Jeudevine makes 2 difficult decisions.
well enough to envision what he would appreciate as a memorial?
I believe I knew Mr. Jeudevine likes and dislikes very well.
I want to share with you what I've been thinking. I'd like a park, a beautiful park, with lots of flowers for strolling on a Sunday afternoon.
Mr. Jeudevine would really approve of that.
Not that again today.
Good day.
Good day. I have a package from the cloud store. This is Jeudevine.
Oh, yes, this is Mrs. Jeudevine's new dress that she had altered at the McLeod store. I'll give her the package. Thank you. Good night.
I also have a letter here. It's from Mrs. McLeod. The name of the book she wants to buy.
Oh, well, yes, you may go right into the library. You know the way.
No, you must get it for me. I do not read.
You followed me? Mrs. Jeudevine, I'm sorry. This young lady just delivered the package from the McLeod store. It's your new dress that you had altered. I need to go into the library and get a book that Mrs. McLeod wishes to borrow.
No, let her get the book. You can't be getting books for people. You'd be busy doing that all day.
But, ma'am, she doesn't read.
What? Did I hear right? You don't read.
I do not read, ma'am.
Why, may I ask?
I never got to go to school. Besides, books are just a mess of paper stuck together. A waste of one's time.
My dear child, you've been wrongly informed. A book is a wonderful possession to help you to learn or just to read for enjoyment.
I ain't had no time for learning, ma'am. I got a good job. Mrs. McLeod treats me well. I ain't got no time to have my head stuck in a book. But I did. It had pictures of animals in it. Some like you've never seen before. Some with really long necks.
Here is the book that Mrs. McLeod wishes.
Thank you. Goodbye, Mrs. Jeudevine. Hope the dress fits well.
Thank you, child. Clarice, we must do something for these children who don't have access to books.
Books are very expensive, ma'am, and when there's only so much money to go around, the choice is usually food over books. Maybe someday Hardwick will have a library.
Well, I hope so. All this coming and going, the cold winds of winter and the flies in the summer. And look at the carpet. Have you noticed how it's wearing?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I have. Good afternoon. Yes, you know the way to the library. You may go right ahead. That was Mrs. Green, and she wishes me to tell you how she appreciates what you're doing, lending books to everyone.
Well, I hope so. I keep my favorite ones here by my chair.
Lunch is ready, ma'am.
On this Wednesday morning opening, that the play shows how ladies of Mr. Jeudevine's era thought, dressed, and gossiped. Also how they spent their leisure time. It is now Wednesday afternoon. Mrs. Jeudevine and her friends are gathered for their weekly meeting of mahjongs, a Chinese game adapted to the Western culture and very popular with the idle rich.
I hope that doorbell doesn't start ringing again like it did last week. It was so disturbing.
It was a mistake to allow all this lending of books. I felt it was my Christian duty. Books are so much in demand. Sometimes I think I just can't take it anymore, though.
It's as if you're running a public library.
I might as well be.
I wonder where Priscilla is. It's unlike her to miss our weekly game of mahjong. One tries to master it. It's so intriguing.
I haven't received any message that she was going to be late.
Maybe she's playing bridge. I hear all the women are doing it now. I heard about it from my cousin in Cracksbury.
I'm shocked. A fine, outstanding church-going woman like Priscilla. Well, on the other hand, she did move here from Connecticut.
I'm sure it's just some new fad, like those women getting their hair cut short. It's ridiculous.
And those new undergarments, hardly any support.
And those skirts, 5 and 6 inches above the ground floor, running around flashing their ankles.
And I've heard young people are attending public dances without a proper chaperone.
I was never allowed to attend public dance.
Nor was I. We must wonder what's going to become of us. The devil certainly is here doing his evil work.
And in such unsporting ways.
Shall we start the game and play three-handed?
I can call out for a fourth player.
No, let's play three-handed. I'll have a better chance of winning.
Good day.
I want to borrow a book, an American Boy book.
Mrs. Jeudevine does not lend books to juveniles.
I don't care. I want a book I can read.
I'm sorry, but Mrs. Jeudevine cannot be disturbed.
I want to see her.
No, please, now back up so I may close the door.
No, I won't go till I see Mrs. Jeudevine.
I told you Mrs. Jeudevine cannot be disturbed right now.
I want to see Mrs. Jeudevine. I want to borrow a book.
What is all that racket?
Ma'am, it's a young boy demanding to see you.
To see me, probably collecting for some charity, no doubt. Excuse me, ladies.
I want to borrow a book. I read the Gazette. I taught myself to read so I can learn.
I do not lend books to juveniles, so please leave.
No, I want a book that tells me the history of Vermont, the American Boy book.
You can borrow books from your school, and I suggest you do just that.
You do not allow me to take books out of the school library. I do not go to school.
Oh, that's too bad.
I could run some errands for you or do something for our book.
You know, I'm very impressed that you want to read, but I'm very irritated that you're so demanding. You leave before I ask Clarice to get the constable to show you home. Clarice, send him away.
Yes, please, go right this way.
I'm sorry to send him away, but I just cannot bring myself to lend Neely's books. From his little piggy book to his American Boy adventure books. Neely loved them all, and I haven't disturbed any in his room. I know it's foolish of me, but I can't help it. I just can't help it.
There now, Melvina. We understand. You don't have to do anything you don't want to.
Well, for one thing, I don't want to play Mahjong this afternoon. I'm sorry.
Well, what's so important that's gotten you so upset?
I've been so lonesome, so all alone, and so thankful for friends like you and Ruth. I'm not really upset. It's that I have so much to attend to. I want a proper memorial for Alden. I want to share it with you. I'd like a park, a beautiful park, with lots of flowers for strolling on a Sunday afternoon. And it should have a small pond to drift in a boat, or maybe a rippling brook. And there should be woods for coolness on a hot day. And a grassy area to spread a blanket and have a picnic. Or maybe to sit and read a book. And it should have a gazebo where local musicians can play for special occasions. And in the center of all this, a statue of my darling Alden, a giant white granite statue
statue standing in the center of a grassy lawn.
This surprises you, Ruth?
Oh, no, I just have to visualize it. A white, life-size statue.
I would not want just a bust sitting there. This is why I wanted to talk with you, to tell you my plans, to see what your reaction would be.
Where would this park be located?
Mr. Weiser, my attorney, my friend, and my guidance counselor, so to speak, is looking into some possibilities. He's already engaged the sculptor from Barry.
Ooh, then you've done some prospecting already.
Nothing legal. We're going to have a meeting next week. In fact, I'd like both of you to attend.
I'm pleased you asked me.
I was just wondering if you've ever thought of some of those cast iron gates, you know, the big ones that would have the Jeudevine Memorial Park right at the top. You know, all the really nice estates have them.
I like the idea of the park. Statue I have to think of.
I trust your judgment.
I appreciate your trust, and if I must say so, a statue is rather cold. Mr. Jeudevine is such a warm and caring man.
Yes, good afternoon. I must speak with Mrs. Jeudevine. I'm sorry, but Mrs. Jeudevine is entertaining guests right now. Mrs. Jeudevine, Mrs. Jeudevine. I'm sorry for walking in like this, but I want you to know what a wonderful job you're doing, loaning your books, sharing them with others. A few of us ladies would like to invite you for tea this Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock to show how grateful we are.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Yardsborough.
I'll not bother you further. This is like a public library. A public library is what this town needs.
Goodbye, and thank you, Mrs. Yardsborough.
Goodbye.
Did you hear that?
Indeed I did. I'd like to stay longer, Melvina, but I don't want to get caught in a lightning storm.
I must go. See you next week, Melvina.
Well, have Clarice give you an umbrella on your way out.
The town needs a library.
You were thinking the same thing I was.
Weeks later, the meeting, which is not successful in accomplishing anything, Mrs. Jeudevine becomes upset. It would seem that the doorbell is the star actor, or that it is trying to tell anyone present something.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Professor. How do you do? I'm meeting with Mrs. Jeudevine.
Yes, Mrs. Jeudevine will be right down, sir.
Oh, I was not aware that this was not a one-on-one meeting with Mrs. Jeudevine. Good afternoon, ladies. How do you do?
Mrs. Jeudevine thought some feminine input might be helpful.
She did she?
Good afternoon. Yes, you know the way to the library. Please, show right in.
There goes that doorbell again. Last time I was here, the doorbell drove me nuts.
It can become very stressful.
I just hope that you ladies did not in any way upset Mrs. Jeudevine.
But we haven't said a word.
Good, because as her friend and counselor, I would not want her to feel
We think she may be upset.
Well, that's only what we think. We kind of gave her the idea that we weren't in favor of the statue.
Our vision of the statue was rather haunting.
that doorbell.
Good day.
Okay, Mr. Ortiz to see Mrs. Jeudevine.
Oh, yes, she will be right down promptly. Please come in.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ortiz. may I introduce you to the friends of Mrs. Jeudevine, Mrs. McNulty, and Mrs. Pat.
Ah, yes, the ladies.
Now,
Oh, pleasure to meet such charming ladies.
please have a seat. I'm sure Mrs. Jeudevine will be right with us, Mr. Archie's.
Boy, I do hope my back is not joggled up. Such terrible roads you have up here between Hardwick and Barry. Those roads anyways. What a beautiful house Mrs. Jeudevine has. It would certainly be my pleasure to work for her.
Whoa. You have given us already your estimate. We have agreed by letter. I wouldn't want to see anything altered.
Oh, no, nor shall you. There are, however, sometimes some unexpected expenses we run into that we can't foresee.
It's the unexpected expenses I was referring to. So,
Welcome to my home. I understand that you've all been properly introduced.
good afternoon, ma'am. May I introduce Mr. Artiste from Barry, the famous sculptor.
Mrs. Jeudevine, yes,
Thank you. I have here the 4 drawings of your ideas of the statue that you mailed to me. I found them most attractive. It will be difficult for me to select the proper one.
Oh, I assure you, I will assist you. I will help you.
Sir, first we have to settle some questions about real estate. Doorbell.
Good day. Oh, yes, you may go right in. Help yourself.
I'm at a loss to stop that doorbell. People are so eager for books. It's become a real nuisance. The word has spread so rapidly that now everyone's friend of a friend is here.
Well, books, schmooks. Let us get back to the real estate that's available, ma'am. And now there's a Brown property. It's located on the west side. It's beautiful. It's flat. However, it's somewhat damp. Warm.
We wouldn't want people to have wet feet, would we?
That's just what I thought. And however, I did look at a 6-acre lot. It's on the north side. It's possibly North Church Street, if I'm right. There's a field. It's a wooded area. It's an open area. However, the train runs right by one side of it, and it's expensive. The Nelsons are asking $1,000 for it.
Alden would always say, if the asking price is too high, they don't really want to sell it.
Well, it is the ideal place. They do want to sell. However, there's another party in town, or shall I say parties, who are interested in the same real estate.
Well, financially, I can afford whatever proper acreage would cost. I don't want a small lot. Alden deserves something large, like the statue that I'm going to have built.
That's okay. However, I think I can put together some small lots and make it one big lot, because we don't want to interfere with the other interested parties. You see, they are thinking about building a racetrack.
Horse racing
And sulky racing, man.
in Hardwick? What is this town thinking of?
It's on Saturdays only, man.
The devil is residing here for sure.
There is nothing wrong with horse racing, and I stand to make some money.
No, it's the gambling, the drinking, the language. We don't need a racetrack in Hardwick. We could outbid them.
Outfit myself. Well, I think that we ought to just let that one slide and look for the proper.
What am I to do?
Well, it's difficult, and I promise you that I shall find the land that's suitable for the park and
I know you will find that land, but I'm very anxious right now to speak with Mr. Ortiz.
Ah, and I am anxious to help you. Have you had a chance to study the drawings that I sent you?
Good day. Oh, yeah, go right into the library.
Statue I'd like to do for Mr. Jeudevine.
I spent much time admiring them. I have them right here.
Oh, yes. Did you get all 4 drawings? I tried to give you some options because this is the most difficult decisions. I find some of my clients have a difficult time visualizing what the granite will look like. In my number 1 drawing, I tried to express the physical man as well as the personality of Mr. Jeudevine. The drawing expresses nobility and leadership. He stands looking out over the crowd, one face of determination. His feet slightly parted, his arms down at his thigh, his clenched. An overall perfect specimen of the human being. After that, a short button-down coat, and a derby hat.
Alden always wore a cap, except for special occasions. Then he wore a felt fedora.
I assure you, I can make any alteration you desire. I'm here to please you.
Alden wore a long coat when he needed a coat. Most of the time he wore a sweater or a vest with short sleeves.
I assure you, I can make any alterations you Now, if I may get back to my drawings, because there's 3 more we need to discuss. There's my number 2 drawing, portrays a more gentle side of Mr. Jeudevine. Mr. Weiser, would you be so kind to help me try to illustrate this pose? Yes, would you sort of act as my model, and you just relax, and I'll try to put you in the proper position. Just trust me for a moment there. In this pose, the head is slightly turned, so the eyes are a little bit lateral. A faint curling of the lips, almost a smile. And yes, one leg slightly ahead of the other, and a raised arm up, sort of ready to greet you. Let's see, what else is in that drawing? Well, the apparel to your liking.
I found this one very peaceful.
Well, you could say that. You are paying the bills, so, but relax for a moment. The next pose would be a more popular pose. One of the more, see if you can try and handle this, will you? More of a muscular pose, you know?
Oh, yes, hello. Oh, please, go right in.
I am not used to being interrupted when I am making a presentation. Do you not know who I am?
You will be here. We're used to it.
And I never allow comments from the sidelines. This is serious work. Now, if I may get back to my pose here. This drawing could be a little bit more on the, a bit more on the softer side here. And I think you'd be standing straight, straight as he can be. And his arm raised slightly, umbrella at his side, even with the right side. His head is a little bit woody there. And his right arm raised up as we had in the other drawing. The left could be holding a small personal item, maybe a book, a roll of board, or maybe even a small dog.
Mr. Jeudevine, not like dogs.
What I am discussing concerns Mrs. Jeudevine only.
Ruth and Lottie, please do not make comments
raised arm of number 3, only slightly out here. This shows an all-around person, ready to lead, yet willing to follow. Ready to greet you, yet remaining aloof.
A very impressive demonstration. However, my mind is confused. I knew the whole Mr. Jeudevine, and these only show separate parts of him.
You may relax. Thank you. I understand. And I, the master of the trade, you can trust me as well as these hands.
Oh, hello. Yeah, go right into the library. Help yourself.
Furthermore, I might add, Mr. Jeudevine was a most handsome man. And it will be my pleasure to carve him in the likeness of him. I understand that you have chosen white granite. Wise choice. Red, black, or green, no good at all. I like the white. And this would end up being a tall statue that local people gaze at.
But perhaps I should be enlightened as to the cost of this work of art.
Well, yes, that's a fair question. The white granite would be around $1,000, and there will be some other expenses that I'll work out with Mr. Weiser, and well, and of course my professional fee, which I do deserve it, and all told around $4,000.
My, it does total up, doesn't it?
Well, not really when you consider what you're getting. This is not extravagant. This is something that future generations will be able to gaze upon. Just admire.
Please, let's get back to the real estate. The real estate. The real estate.
You haven't found land? I had no reason to think that after I related my wishes to you, Mr. Weiser, that everything wouldn't move on smoothly from there. Now I'm being told of various problems, not the least of which is the cost that I never dreamed of.
Well, yes and no. I might add that there doesn't seem to be any land available within our area of a park and a wood and strolling and a statue.
I know the decision has to be mine, but I just want a silent afternoon again. No doorbell.
Well, landscaping a park and erecting a statue isn't going to keep the doorbell from ringing, ma'am.
Ruth, Lottie, my friends, help me. I trust your judgment.
When you first entrusted us with your plans, we honestly did not think it was a good idea. Mr. Jeudevine was a caring man, a man of the people.
Well, and I don't really think that you're fully aware of the need for people to borrow books.
A statue would become just part of the landscape, something that's just there. I'll come right out and say it. I think a fitting memorial would be a library. It would be a living, giving memorial.
No, I can take no more. May I shed some light here? A park would also suffice as a memorial. But please let us not forget what a handsome man he was, what a pillar of he was to this community. No one would remember what this man looked like without the magnificent statue that these master hands could carve out of white
Well, we
granite.
got 2 pictures in the music room. Or
my friends are against me. I wasn't aware that you did not like the idea of the statue.
I didn't mean to upset you. We only spoke the truth. I hope our friendship isn't in jeopardy.
That's what I wanted, and I'm sorry. But I just want to be alone now. Please leave. Maybe we can talk in the future. I'm going to my room.
What have you done? I am afraid that you may have talked me out of a very rich client.
And I just figured it out for a rather tiny profit, I might add.
Are you, Mr. Weiser, insinuating that I would take advantage of a widowed lady?
Whatever you want to do.
No, it is my inconvenience. My coming here, half breaking my back on those horrible roads. My hotel expenses. But most of all, my reputation. A master. Oh, would have been a credit.
Listen here, Mr. R.T. Avery.
I do not wish to have my intentions debated.
Intentions debated. This man thinks we can debate his intentions. Nowhere. Nowhere. You try to take advantage of Mrs. Jeudevine.
I would do nothing of the kind. It is all in your head. She needs a new guidance counselor. I can see that right now.
She certainly doesn't need a new friend.
Ah, well, what do you call yourself?
Whoa, I best think we talk now, sir. This is not a conversation I would like to continue. Why don't you get back on your bag-jiggling jackass and go back to Gavery?
No, I think I need one more opportunity.
No, you don't, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You shall not. Good. Now he's
I
got
do not. In my country, one has to defend what they say.
This country. This country.
The middle of the night, 2 days later, Mrs. Jeudevine is restless. She searches her conscience for answers which do not come easily.
What must I do? My whole heart craves an image, a desire for the likeness of Alden, so that in ages to come, people can see the statue and they can say, that is Mr. Jeudevine, a strong man, a handsome man, a good man. What can I do? I never should have started to lend our books. But friends needed books, a need that I could fulfill. A Christian shares. Charity begins at home. But I'm afraid it has influenced their way of thinking so that they can no longer see my coming and going? I don't know. I just don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard voices. Are you all right, Mrs. Jeudevine?
I couldn't sleep. I must make up my mind. I must make up my mind.
Oh, it must be so very hard. Is there anything I can do?
No, not now. I think I just want to be alone, to pray.
On the morning of the next day, Mrs. Jeudevine is eager to announce her decision as to the memorial for Mr. Jeudevine.
Clarice, yes, Mrs. Jeudevine. I want you to bring Mr. Weiser at once.
Oh, but it's so very early, ma'am.
Mr. Weiser won't mind.
I'm on my way.
Oh, and I must get presentable.
Good morning.
Waiting for Mr. Weiser, Mrs. Jeudevine is in a highly emotional state. However, she is a lady of self-discipline. She relies on her upbringing when forced with dramatic situations. She dresses quickly and appears without shoes.
Good morning. I came as quick as I could.
Yes, go right in. She'll be down promptly.
Mr. Weiser. Clarice,
Morning.
please join us. I want you both to know I've made a decision. We're going to build the Jeudevine Memorial Library.
Oh, I'm so very glad.
What a relief that must be for you.
Yes, and I want you to see to everything, except I want to design the building.
Well, the lot right across the street would be the perfect place. It used to belong to my dear departed Aunt Betsy, but I probably could get it for her.
I thought of that one too. Do start on it today.
So I should not get an architect, or should I get an advising architect?
Well, I know it will take a few days for you to organize. But Mr. Weiser, you know I have never displayed any emotions publicly.
Women are not brought up, ladies in particular, are not brought up to display emotion.
But today, I feel different. Today, I feel free!
That was Mrs. Jeudevine's second decision. A few months later, the library is finished, done, complete with every book recorded and in its proper place. 1 year later, construction of the Jeudevine strike the last match. It is now 10 months later. The ladies have gathered together for their monthly quilting bee. Quilting bees were still popular with the older group of ladies.
I wonder where Priscilla is. She missed our meeting last week.
That reminds me, I have some news. The Iceman has been stopping sometimes 2-3 times a day at Priscilla's house.
That Iceman is a very popular fellow.
Oh, good day.
I'm a bit late, as usual.
in private. If you would please excuse us. Something has come up.
Please excuse me, ladies. Now, you children, have a nice, quiet game of checkers.
He cheats. No, it's you.
Well, then busy yourself with your book, but please do not interrupt. Good afternoon, Reverend Goodhart. Mrs. Jeudevine is busy right now.
I'm sorry, I want to speak with her.
Well, she should be down promptly. Please come in and take a seat.
No, I'm not here for a visit. It's just I wanted to tell her that the church has over 60 spiritual, uplifting books to donate to the library. And many Bibles that need it. We believe every home should have a Bible.
We have a Bible.
Hush up, child. This is no time to speak.
Let the child speak. I assume you know what's written in the Bible.
Oh, yes. Grandmother was recipe sent some newspaper clippings.
No need to scold the child. Many small people use the Bible as a small, violent place momentum.
And Daddy's example figure. Help him learn. But he didn't learn.
Perhaps, Mrs. Thorpe, your husband might find it worth his while to attend Sunday services with you.
I'll mention it to him.
Clarice, you'll see that Mrs. Jeudevine received my message. Here's the list of the books.
Oh, yes, I will be sure. Thank you, Reverend Goodhart.
Good day, everyone. See you Sunday.
Good day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Speaking of books, I heard the library's coming along quite well.
Such an attractive addition to the town.
Well, I hope they have some romantic books. I do enjoy good romantic novels.
I doubt if Mrs. Jeudevine is allowed cheap novels.
The Vermont Library Association has selected them.
Yes, but there's always those donated books. You never know what'll be amongst those.
Well, I'm just glad Melvina decided on the library and not that statue.
Everyone is. It'll do so much for the town.
And the location is perfect.
You know, that corner lot across the street was looked at, but those croquet players just wouldn't give up their field. My husband plays croquet. I've been thinking of joining the ladies' team.
Playing bridge is lots more fun. I don't want to be in the sun on hot afternoons. You children, stay put.
We're sitting here. I don't want to be here.
Clarice, Clarice? Yes, ma'am, please. Bring these children into the kitchen and feed them. They can't talk with a mouthful.
Yes, ma'am, right away. Please, come right this way. Come on, let's move it.
Well, I read in the paper that there are some women in St. Johnsbury that would want the women to have the vote.
That'll be the day. It's a man's world out there.
They might. Then I'm going to make such a mess of things that eventually women will have to clean it up.
Not by going bareheaded and shortening their skirts, they won't.
Well, I don't know about that. You'd better think twice.
I brought Mrs. Jeudevine back to you. Excuse the interruption. Good afternoon, ladies. I shall let myself out. Thank you.
Ladies, I have something I want to share with you. The good news I just received. Mr. Hathaway.
Now that little clue about Mr. Hathaway was a suggestion that perhaps the Hathaway family would be donating their family library to the Jeudevine Memorial Library. 1 year later, construction of the Jeudevine Memorial Library has been going on well. Well, until today, there seems to be a mix-up. Priscilla is frightened. The Ouija board has predicted trouble for Mrs. Jeudevine. The ladies at that time spent much time working the Ouija board.
Clarice, what are all the boxes doing in my drawing drawing room, messing it all up.
Oh, some of the organizations have donated their books, and they dropped them here.
I know, but they're supposed to go to the library, not here.
Oh, Mr. Weiser, it seems, told everyone they could bring their books from this Tuesday until next Tuesday. Well, they took them up there to the library, and the boss man told them to bring it back. Seems there's some problem, something about windows and doors.
Well, get rid of these boxes. I'll put them out in the den. I'll have to find out what's gone wrong.
Oh, this one is from the Animal Protection Agency. This one is from the Temperance Committee. What's that?
Never mind. Go get Mr. Weiser.
Yes, ma'am, right away.
What a mess. This book is from the Infant Care Club. I don't need that. This one from the Horse Racing Club. I wonder what kind of books they read. These books will all have to be looked over. I wouldn't want anything unsuitable in our library. Mr. Jeudevine always said that you could tell a person by the books that they read. He wouldn't allow a nonsense book on his bookshelves.
Clarice, Melvina, it's me, Priscilla.
Clarice has gone out on an errand.
I've come to warn you.
Warn me? About what?
Hazel and I were working the Ouija board. It's going good, and then it went crazy. Spelled your name right out. Said you'd be in trouble today.
You playing that Ouija board again.
Well, you always use it for answers.
I did. But evil spirits get into those boards. They're not true predictions.
I know, but the library, there's trouble over there.
Come look out the window. See the library? It looks fine to me.
Well, I don't know why the Ouija board did what it did. It spelled out books, too.
I don't know why I put up with you, Priscilla. You're always upsetting me.
Oh, please be careful today.
And no more Ouija board for you.
I'll come back later to make sure you're okay.
Maybe she's right. I'll just take it easy.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Jeudevine.
How did you get in here?
Just walked in.
You're Mr. Bradford. You're the boss on the library job.
Oh, yeah, I am, but we got a little problem over there. We got all these books, and we're just not ready for them, so we're coming over here.
And why aren't you ready, may I ask?
Well, no doors, no windows, and a few weeks behind. And we had a real problem with the driver. The driver came over from Derry, and he's not a very good driver, and he's really complaining about the roads. And so he wants to go home tonight. And so, guess what? Since they're sort of your books anyway,
No, I'll not have my home made into a warehouse.
Well, all right, boys. Let's get moving.
I sort of
Come on.
think they're coming anyway. And since I need to get
There
back
on the right side.
Bill, I shall be seeing you.
Oh, my! Oh, my!
Come on, let's move it, boys.
What am I going to do?
Come on. Let's not take all day.
No! No more boxes!
There's not that many left. Come on, step on it. Time's a wasting.
Mr. Weiser will know what to do when he comes.
You should have got another attorney a long time ago.
What am I going to do? Mr. Weiser better come quickly.
There's not that many left. You know, you wouldn't have this problem if you'd hired me to done the statue. And I wouldn't have to be out here moonlighting either. Come on. That's a good job. Come on.
Oh,
Door
Mr.
behind you.
Weiser, hurry.
Oh, my, oh my, Mrs. Jeudevine, Mrs. Jeudevine, where are you?
I'm here. I don't know where I am.
Oh, what are all these boxes?
supervisor?
Oh, he wasn't in his office, ma'am.
Of course not. He started all this, and where is he when I need him?
I can go get Mr. Do-It-All. He'll know just what to do.
Wait, that's a good idea, but please, move these boxes first, and I need a cup of tea.
Good day. I wish to speak to Mrs. Jeudevine. Well, she's sort of boxed in right now. Mrs. Jeudevine, there's a woman here with her children to see you.
Let her in, if she can get in. Things can't get much worse.
I am Mrs. Jackson. My children read in the paper that we could take books to the library today, but they sent us over here. We are not well off, but we always saw to it that our children had books to read. We read that good children's books were hard to find, so they've each selected 2 books of their own and are going to donate them to the library.
I understand. My son Neely loved his books, too.
Give your books to the lady.
Thank you very much.
Here are my books. I didn't really want to donate them, but we can read.
Your books will mean a lot to the children in the town. We must all give up something now and then, and sometimes it's very hard to do.
Those 2 are my favorites, but I wanted to share them with the kids.
Thank you very much.
Good day, Mrs. Jeudevine.
Nice to have met you, Mrs. Jackson. Clarice, Clarice,
Yes, ma'am?
you and I are going right now to Neely's room and pack up his books.
Oh,
That was Mrs. Jeudevine's second decision. A few months later, the library is finished, done, complete with every book recorded and in its proper place. It is time to honor Mrs. Jeudevine for her generosity. Mrs. Jeudevine, I, John Henry McLeod, former principal of Hardwick Academy and spokesperson for the business groups of Hardwick, have the high honor and the distinct privilege of presenting you with the key to the Jeudevine Memorial Library. And our librarian, Holly Grubb.
Thank you.